One thing I think I absolutely bring is the mission first, people always aspects. So one thing that I'm really focused on in this role as I connect with my team is making sure that they really understand where they fit in the process of delivering mission capabilities to our customers.
Welcome to Technovation. I'm your host, Peter High. My guest today is Demaree. Maria is the Senior Vice President of Enterprise Business and Digital Transformation and Chief Information Officer of Lockheed Martin, a leading global security, defense, and aerospace contractor that earned nearly $72 billion in fiscal 2025 revenue. Maria's organization includes more than 5,000 professionals worldwide and touches technology, culture, processes across the company. She's a 34-year veteran of the company and has had numerous leadership positions at Lockheed Martin prior to her current one, including as the president and general manager of Lockheed Martin's national security space business, where she oversaw an expansive $6.6 billion portfolio. Maria, welcome to Technovation. It's great to speak with you today.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to be with you today. This is a great honor for me.
Oh, you're kind to say that. An honor for me as well. Well, Maria, let's begin with your business. Most people would have some familiarity with Lockheed Martin, though not as much as you would after, as I mentioned, 34 years with the organization. Take a moment, if you would, and talk a bit about the business you're a part of.
Sure, I'm happy to do that. It's a company that I am very passionate about. We are an aerospace and defense corporation. We are 122,000 employees strong. And our focus is really on delivering advanced technologies to those who protect our nation, to making sure that they have what they need in the air, space, land, sea, and cyber domains. And we do that making sure that they have those capabilities ahead of the emerging threats, making sure, as we like to say, they are ahead of ready.
Fascinating. Thank you for that overview. And I mentioned your title, which is an unusual one, Chief Information Officer. Many who watch and listen to this would be very familiar with, but you're also the Senior Vice President of Enterprise Business and Digital Transformation. Talk a bit writ large, your set of responsibilities, if you would.
Yes. And Peter, I'm sure that you're familiar with the Harvard Business Review article by Martha Heller about the CIO paradox, right? The part where you have to be highly operational, but also very strategic and forward-leaning and visionary. And that is exactly what this role is. You know, the CIO role, just like you described, is very IT-centric, making the systems operate that we need to deliver capabilities to our customers. So everything from hardware, software, networks, cybersecurity, everything we need to make sure that we have the systems and processes in place for us to deliver to our customers the very critical missions that we serve, and making sure that those are not just operating but optimized. And so that's the really operational side of the coin. But the second part of the job, the SVP, as you said, of Enterprise Business and Digital Transformation, is the transformation that we are under in our corporation to really enable digital capabilities. So really looking at how do we accelerate delivery to our customers using digital tools and technologies, but also reimagining the processes that we use to do that. So it's really not about the tools so much as the process that we use to accelerate that delivery. And really that is the two sides of the coin that I have in this role, is running the business, but also the strategic vision of how we go forward to operate differently in the future.
Can you provide some examples of what you've just described? It's fascinating that additional set of responsibilities, and also interesting to hear about how they work together as you describe. Bring it to life a little bit more, if you would, perhaps with an example or two.
Sure. So if you think about it today, we have factories all over the world at Lockheed Martin. Right now, what we're doing in the digital transformation is connecting those factories. So if you think today about someone in the space division calling someone in the aero division saying, hey, do you have this part, right? That would require a phone conversation, probably looking at different systems, seeing if they're even called the same part in both places. As we go forward with and this is a really simple example, but as we go forward with our digital transformation, just imagine being able to go to one place, looking up all the parts in the whole corporation, and being able to move them across business areas, maybe even do some artificial intelligence to say, even though this has a different label or name, it's the same part, it's available today. We could accelerate deliveries just being able to do something as simple as that, which is really quite complicated right now.
I certainly understand the complications of something like that. And speaking of complex, at least, your organization includes 5,000 folks worldwide.
Yes.
And I wonder, given what you've just described, and also the diversity of the business that is Lockheed Martin, What aspects of what your team delivers is done centralized versus federated? Can you describe the difference between those two and how you think about calibrating each?
Yes, so we are I would call a hybrid organization right now. There are definitely areas that are centralized and that we do similarly across the entire business, but we do have four business areas, right? Four different businesses within Lockheed Martin, and then our enterprise operations. So you could almost think of those as five different business areas. And so even things just like HR tools are not necessarily consistent today across those five different entities. As we go forward with this transformation, we'll be looking at how we bring tools together that are common across particular functions. So if you think about, HR or finance or our business development organization, those tools, there will be one tool that all will use for those different capabilities. And that'll allow itself to be more centralized. It doesn't necessarily mean we will centralize things, but even just having the ability to have one tool, the ability for people to be able to move across different business areas, to be able to not have to be retrained every time they have a different experience will be very valuable to the company. And it will allow us to find those efficiencies for centralization as we go forward.
A lot of your peers, Maria, who have somewhat comparable roles to yours, would have started on the bottom rung of the department that you're now a part of, and simply risen with a demonstrated success to climb each of the rungs to eventually get to the top. A different pathway that you came through as a result in order to get to the role that you currently have. I mentioned in the introduction that you were the president and general manager of Lockheed Martin's national security space business, for instance, among multiple leadership roles you've had. I wonder, how did running a business impact how you think about your current role? I'd imagine that you probably calibrate things a little bit differently than had you been somebody who'd simply been in the IT function all of your career and ended up in the top of it.
Right, right. Well, I will tell you, I was in IT about 12 to 15 years ago. I was in a similar role. I mean, I was in a role in the organization and I had employee experience. As a very interesting note, at that time, we were going from BlackBerry to iPhone, which might get an eye roll today, but at that time, that was a really big deal, right? I mean, first of all, taking the BlackBerries away from people, though a lot of us love that little keyboard, but just the cyber implications. We didn't have Wi-Fi in every building yet to be able to even do upgrades of iOS, et cetera. So a lot of learning. So I do have some experience with the IT organization. So it's not like I came in completely unaware. But I absolutely have an appreciation for IT and P&L and the business area side. And I think it's a really important complement. And it's one that I think is really valuable to the IT organization. Something I said when I was here 15 years ago was we really should rotate people through business areas, and we also should bring business people into the IT organization because there's just so much benefit in both direction, in my opinion. Coming now this time into this role as the CIO, coming out of the VPGM job in national security space absolutely brings a very different perspective to the role than I would have otherwise, as you said, if I had grown up in the organization. One thing I think I absolutely bring is the mission first, people always aspects. So one thing that I'm really focused on in this role as I connect with my team is making sure that they really understand where they fit in the process of delivering mission capabilities to our customers. So even though you're not talking to a general or an admiral or a colonel all the time, that doesn't mean that you're not absolutely an important part of what we're delivering and of the ecosystem that enables it. And so I just make sure that my team really understands how important it is for them to make sure that our systems are always up and running and optimized, and to work with urgency to do that, to make sure that you understand there's a team of people waiting for this capability so that they can deliver their capabilities. So understanding your part in that. I think another really important component is my ability to bring business cases to the business, right? To explain why I need them to invest in GPUs or technologies or capabilities right now, because I understand the impact it will have in the business side. So I think there's a lot of advantage to having both an IT understanding and a little bit of an IT background, but really the focus on the business, the program management, the business acumen, understanding how those two things really exist together.
Yeah, I can imagine you have so much more authority as a result of the experiences you've had in both lanes, if you will. I wonder also, speaking of missions, you lead Lockheed Martin's mission-driven transformation program called 1LMX. Can you describe that for us, please?
So 1LMX is really the digital transformation that we're going through. It's transforming the processes and the tools that we use to do engineering and production and to really accelerate the timeline between those. One thing that I'm acutely aware of from the business time that I spent is how our adversaries are moving very quickly. They're also leveraging these kinds of capabilities and tools. So we need to be, staying ahead of where they are and maintaining the high ground that we have. And so doing this digital transformation will really accelerate how quickly and effectively and efficiently we can deliver to customers. So it's really the goal of 1LMX is really that ability to use digital tools and technologies and new processes to be able to accelerate delivery to customers.
I mentioned in the introduction that among your responsibilities also, or areas of influence, perhaps better put, is one of culture, that you're helping facilitate a unified culture across the organization. First of all, can you describe that culture and the methods you and the team are using to in fact unify a culture across 122,000 colleagues, as you mentioned at the outset?
Yeah, well, we're being very deliberate about it. This is not something that we're just talking about. So 1LMX is the digital transformation, the change in the tools and the processes that we're using. So 1LMX. And then we have our culture journey, which is 1LM, which is really bringing those four business areas and EO together for a common experience for our employees. So we call it, hire to retire. So everyone that comes in will have the same entrance experience. You'll have the same career experience. As we enable these tools to be common, you'll be able to move across different business areas and functions, being able to not have to be retrained every time and being able to be upskilled into the capabilities that we need. And then we have very specific values and behaviors that we're looking for. And we're talking and training in that right now, actually, through our journey of what we call 1LM. So 1LM and 1LMX are really, again, two sides of the same coin to really deliver that 21st century security that we're looking to deliver to our customers.
Very interesting. Yeah, thank you. Interesting to understand how those fit together, two sides of the same coin, as you mentioned. Mm-hmm. Yours is the largest company in the industry, and there are a range of digital native companies that are becoming entering the space, becoming competitors. And I wonder, how do you think about, obviously a great advantage you have of the company's legacy, while also thinking about modernizing it to better compete in the digital age? How do you think about balancing those?
Absolutely. So, we're very excited about the digital journey that we're on, and we're not just starting it. We've been on it for quite some time. So any new starts that we have are born digital. So we while we are a over 100-year-old company, don't think of us as slow and sluggish. We are absolutely moving quickly and adopting new and exciting technologies and capabilities. And we're doing that on new programs. And now what we're also really focusing on is looking at our current existing programs and saying, where can I infuse digital? It may not make sense to go, redo an entire program digital that's, kind of towards the end of its life cycle, but it might very well be beneficial to create a digital twin or to look at a component within it that we might do some kind of new modeling around to take advantage of capabilities that are out now. So it's something that we're iterating on through all the programs within the corporation. Very, very exciting times to be a part of it. And we like to think of ourselves as digital as well, but digital with a really great customer intimacy, decades-long experiences. And one thing that we have that I think is really a differentiator as well is our operational analysis experience. So we really understand our customers, how they use the capabilities they have, how they understand the adversaries. And we can support them doing analysis that really comes from just decades of domain experience of working with them as well. And when we think about the new tools that are available, like AI and simulations and modeling and different new capabilities that are available, we're just able to even accelerate those capabilities as well.
Very interesting. Well, speaking of that profound legacy, you're the middle point of a legacy of three generations of Lockheed Martin employees as well. Your father worked there, as I understand it, and one of your children does also. And I wonder, as I understand it, that's actually not necessarily so unusual, that there are a number of people that are multi-generation Lockheed Martin employees. Talk a bit about that, the extent to which this is something that becomes something that a sort of a family affair at times, not obviously exclusively, and your own pathway to joining the company as well.
Yeah, so I know when I was in middle school, we moved to Florida because my father was delivering a system to Eglin Air Force Base. So just I think at that point in my life, just being around military families and children and being really, immersed in that environment really for me gave me a very profound sense of patriotism, and I know my father was that way as well. He had his entire career at Lockheed Martin. My brother and I are also entire careers at Lockheed Martin, because I think of that time and that experience and knowing that we wanted to be a part of what this nation does to preserve our freedoms and to do our part using our engineering skills to support that as well. My daughter just made that choice, and I'm thrilled about that as well, obviously. But I do think it's just something that when I think about Lockheed Martin and the reason that I have stayed here for all this time, it's because of the people and the ethical values that this corporation has and the commitment we have to serving those who serve. So for us, I think there's many of us that don't feel so much of it as a job, but as really something that we feel very passionate about. I know there are many people that work here that we have someone who's deployed that, we want to make sure they have the capabilities they need to remain safe and to protect our freedoms. So we think about it that way. Many of us have family members or loved ones that we are here to support. So I think it's a great environment because of that. And there are many of us that our families do join here because they see and feel that patriotism as well.
Yeah, fascinating. Thank you so much for sharing those fascinating
Yeah.
reflections. Certainly, I wonder as you look to the future, what trends excite you? What are some of the new areas, innovative areas that you and the team are investing in that have you particularly curious and interested?
Yeah. So, I wish I could come up with something other than AI because I feel like it's always the answer. But I can also tell you, when I was in eighth grade, I wrote this paper that I wanted to go to Penn State, be a computer science major, and work in artificial intelligence. And two of those things happened pretty quick. But man, that last one took 35 years. And it's finally happening. But I've been an AI junkie for my entire adult life, and I'm so excited that we're finally seeing the capabilities come to life and be able to be used. What I'm really excited about right now in this role is I feel like I have a front row seat at watching how this corporation, which I'm extremely passionate about, is going to transform. And we're going to do that with digital capabilities and processes. But when we bring AI on top of those, I'm already able to start to see all the opportunities and possibilities that can be a part of that. So, AI in general is exciting, but when you actually can see, oh my gosh, what we're going to be able to do when we can take that data and put it together, and how quickly we'll be able to do things that, 35 years ago took us forever to do. And, I had to do by hand or, with a fax machine or whatever. So it's just so exciting to see the future. I wish that I had 35 more years to do it. Quantum, I think, is going to be incredibly exciting. And I'm really looking forward and leaning in on that with the team, how we can look at the opportunities there. I also think it's just incredibly important for us to remember that our adversaries have access to these tools and capabilities too. So we need to always be thinking about how they'll be using it, how we will use it ethically and how they'll be using it and how we'll counter those things. So there's so much to do that's very exciting and to think about how we can use it for good.
Can I also ask you, Maria, to what extent is the degree to which you've been able to meander, and I mean that very positively, across different disciplines in an organization like yours, something that is the norm? So first of all, a 34-year tenure with one organization, sounds like your brother's had a consequential one as well, not the norm these days. And I can only imagine in some ways part of what's made it fresh and interesting is different kinds of experiences, new things to learn. I'm hearing it even in the excitement of what you're describing of what's to come as well. And I wonder, to what extent is that something that is programmed into how Lockheed Martin works in terms of not thinking just about siloed careers, but T-shaped careers, if you will, that provide opportunities to move laterally in addition to moving up. Talk a bit about that, if you would.
So we absolutely have both. I started the company in a leadership development program, which was very much, a rotational and the opportunity to move around to different areas, which was very interesting to me. I love to learn new things. I mean, I've worked in biometric systems, fingerprinting systems we used to build for the FBI, helicopter systems, space systems, and now IT. So yes, a very, very diverse set of experiences. Which is encouraged, I would say, through some of the leadership development programs we have. Equally, we have leadership development programs that are about becoming very subject matter experts in specific domains or areas. So we value both. And I think that that's what I love about this company is with 122,000 opportunities, there's something for everyone. For me, it has been the reason probably that I did stay was the opportunity to keep learning new things and trying new things. But to be able to also, develop a a reputation as you move through those things, so that when you did move somewhere else, you came with the experience that you had. You aren't completely new to the organization every time. So I think it's been interesting. It's been great for me. It's not for everyone. There's a lot of people that like to just stay on one program for their entire careers. And we have programs here that you can do that with, that go on for decades and they're just massive programs that live on and on. So there's something for everyone.
Fascinating. Very interesting. Well, speaking of learning new things, and clearly as somebody who's had to do so as you've taken new sets of responsibilities and developed expertise in a variety of areas, I wonder what you, your intellectual diet, what you read, what you watch, what you listen to that you might recommend to others that have been meaningful to you.
Yes. So I have three kids. They are 20, 22, and 24 years old. So they're 20 somethings. And over the summer, we had the opportunity on vacation to binge watch a TV series called Severance. I don't know if you saw it or not.
Yeah.
And I really thought it was really neat. It was a Ben Stiller dystopian story about a company that separates your work brain and your personal outside life brain, right? So when you get on the elevator and go to the drudgery of work, you forget about your personal life and vice versa. And one, I enjoyed it because I was sitting on the couch watching it with my three kids, which is something I don't get a lot of time to do anymore now that they're older. But two is as a leader, I think it's really important to understand the different generations that you have in the workforce. So there's a lot of great conversations with us about how 20-year-olds think about work and work-life balance and different things that were happening in the show. So I thought for me, it was really great as a leader to be able to engage with them and hear about their work experiences. And ultimately, I would tell you as an executive female, one of the most popular questions I get is about work-life balance. And I think with the show, the real takeaway was that you can't separate the two. It's all life. And that is what I have found to be true. And I think that, well, not to be too deep about a Netflix TV show, but I do think that it's really important that you have a job and a career that you're passionate about, that you feel like you are doing something that's meaningful to you. And so that show really gave us the opportunity to talk about those things, which I think was really important.
Well, great suggestions. Thank you so much, Maria. And thank you for more broadly for a fantastic conversation. Really interesting to hear more about your career and the way in which you've managed it, the various experiences you've had, but also very importantly, what's to come at an organization as consequential as Lockheed Martin. Thank you so much for a terrific conversation.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate it. Appreciate the time to be with you today.